Hi everyone, long time no see. So, new location, new book nook, new filming spot. Isn't she so cute? She's everything. Yeah, just they're all together in a little corner. Check out my video if you want to see me like put these all together. That'll be the video before this one. But today we're just gonna do a really late January reading wrap up and February TBR. It's literally like the 7th. It's the 8th. It's the 8th. I'm so sorry. I almost didn't post this because I was just like, but you know what? Who cares? If you guys want to see it, you'll watch it. So between moving and everything, audiobooks saved my life. Thank you, audiobooks. Thank you, Spotify audiobooks. Thank you, Everand or whatever the heck I use now. You saved my life. But first book that we finished last month, was Ruthless Vows. I can't talk about it without spoiling it for you. If you haven't read Divine Rivals, there's not much I can say except that it was incredible. And I think I like Divine Rivals just a little bit more than Ruthless Vows, but not by much. I was so glad that we like got more of the fantasy that was going on, and like it was just such a unique world, and it just felt, it was just everything. There's really no other way to explain it. And I am just so attached to these characters that I feel like they're in real life. Like I feel like they're my friends. I feel like I can just go hang out with them. And I miss them so much. And I have, if you have read Divine Rivals, I have this tattoo for Divine Rivals, and I really want to get one for Ruthless Vows, but I don't know what to get. So if anybody has any tattoo suggestions, let me know, because I thought it'd be so cute to get one for this one too, but I just don't know what I want. So this was clearly a 5 stars. Started the month out strong. Started the year out strong. We really did. Next thing that I picked up was Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. I used to have the like OG paperback, but then I got these editions, and that's just what I'm sticking with. I like just started annotating this one, and it is like, it's gonna take me forever. But I read these on my Kindle because she's thick, you know? And I've been reading exclusively on my Kindle since November. Like, I can't even believe it. I've been, like, even when I have the book, like, even when I had this one, that's why this one's not annotated either, I read it on my Kindle. And then what I'm doing is going back and annotating later, which I really need to do this one. And it almost feels like I'm rereading, you know? Because sometimes I feel like when I want to annotate, it distracts me from the story because I have to stop and highlight and tab and write or like whatever. And so yeah, I feel like I could make it to where I just like put a tab wherever I want to go back and like highlight, but I don't know. I feel like that would still defeat the purpose. Sometimes I like it. Sometimes I like that I'm just reading the story on the Kindle, just highlight with my finger, and then I get to go back, and it really is almost like I'm recapping the plot for myself. So I think that's really fun. Anyways, people scared me for Crescent City. They really did. They were like, it's gonna be so hard to get into, you're gonna want to kill yourself, it's gonna be so difficult, and world building's insane, nothing makes sense. Were they right? Yeah, but they scared me so much that I actually enjoyed it way more than I thought I would. So thank you, I guess. But yeah, it was definitely confusing at first, but I literally just told myself to pretend I knew what the hell was going on, and somehow I tricked myself into knowing what was going on. So it definitely took a little bit, and thank you, Carrie Reads, or it's Carrie Can Read on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, go follow her. But she has recaps and plot summaries and like the whole magic system for both of these books, 1 and 2, not 3 yet since it just came out, but I'm sure that's coming. But I loved that because I read this, then watched that video, and then I'm watching the second video while I've been annotating the 2 of them. So freaking helpful, so helpful, because even though I felt like I understood for the most part what was going on by the end, having her explain it to me again like I was stupid really helped. So I just really I love Bryce. I love Bryce and Hunt's like relationship that they, you know, I'm actually not gonna say that because I don't know if you want that spoiler. I really love the main character of this. I like all the characters in this, and I feel like we are kind of solving a mystery through this book, and that's what made this one tolerable, you know? Like, even though it's so big and there was like really confusing world building, it wasn't awful to me. I actually kind of read it pretty fast. So this one was a 5 stars, to be honest. Next thing I read was I finished the Infernal Devices trilogy. I was just reading them on audiobook all month and I actually flew through them somehow. I read the Mortal Instruments, like, it took me months. So like I think I started them in July or something. Didn't love them. I was like, girl, if I was 13 again, this would hit, but it was not hitting. It was not hitting at all. So basically, the Infernal Devices trilogy follows Tessa, Will, and James, and it's in like the 1800s London, and so the atmosphere is already so much better because I love a good, like, you know, blast of the past moment. And there is a bit of a love triangle, but it's tolerable. You know, I feel like that's not usually said about a love triangle, but it's tolerable. So I just liked the whole setting so much better than the Mortal Instruments. So I was already eating it up, and I gave the first 2 books like 3.5 stars. But the last one, that was like a 4.5. I can't give it a 5 because it wasn't like, it just didn't feel like a 5-star read to me, but the epilogue saved that one. Like, the epilogue almost made it a 5 stars for me. The epilogue of the last book pretty much made me want to read everything Cassandra Clare writes. Now, I will say, because I only read the first 3 Mortal Instruments, then I went to Infernal Devices, because you can do that as a reading order, and then go back to Mortal Instruments, and then go back into Lady Midnight. I want to start Lady Midnight so bad because those characters are in that. Well, the main character of those are in those. Okay, that made no sense. But I don't want to go back to Mortal Instruments. I want to know what happens. I care about those characters, I really do, but my goodness, it was so boring, and I like don't think that I can sit through all of that. So I need a summary video ASAP. I wish Carrie made one on those 3. She did make one on the first 3, so seriously go check her videos out. But anyways, if you want to get into the Cassandra Clare universe, I highly recommend those 3, at least. I mean, it was just so iconic. Like, I cannot believe that I went this long without reading that epilogue alone. Like, just go read the epilogue, at least. That would actually make no sense, but whatever. Next thing I read, also an audiobook, Are We Surprised, is Fable. I was really just intrigued. It just came out. I saw some people talking about it, and I could tell it was like not something I'm used to reading. It was more like a high fantasy, not really much like romantasy going on, you know, like just something that's like a little bit more elevated in a way, like harder to understand, which usually I don't gravitate towards because sometimes I'm just like, I'm not intellectual enough to understand all of this beautiful, you know, plot and things that you're trying to do here. But I really liked it, and I think the audiobook was a good choice. I give it a 4 stars because it wasn't like, it just didn't give me a 5-star feeling, but it was really good, and I was really surprised by how much I liked it for not having like all this action and romance. Like, there was still action, there was still romance, but it was very much like a journey, you know? It was about a journey, like, spiritually. There wasn't too much action going on to where it was like keeping you on your toes. You were just kind of like going through this like awakening with the characters, and I think more of that's coming, honestly. But basically, to explain what Feybound's about, we follow Urine. Urine is an elf, and she is also a warrior. All she cares about is winning. She just wants victory. That is just like their thing. They care about being a warrior, and that's like the most important thing to them. And then she makes a mistake, and she gets exiled from the Elven lands. And the only other thing she cares about is her sister. Her sister Little, she is so funny. She's great. We get her point of view as well. So when Urine gets exiled, Little's like, I'm going after you. And then Urine's second in command also follows along. So they're all exiled at this point, and then they stumble upon the Fey lands. And the Fey lands are like not supposed to exist. The Fae are supposed to be like extinct or something. So they run into them, and they're like, what is going on? What is going on? And the Fey lands to me are giving such Avatar vibes. Like, they are so like free, and just like spiritual, and they care about things that like are really supposed to matter. And so the characters like Urine and her sister, and they're just like, maybe the way I grew up and like what I've known is not the best way, you know? And so I love that, and it really does give Avatar vibes in that way to me. Like, you just realize that like, wow, we have been really effing up, you know? And they really were, and I'm not gonna say like why, but there's spoilers in that. But it's so good. It really is a good story, and I'm so excited for the rest of the series to come out. So if you want something that sounds up your alley at all, I highly recommend. Sometimes I hate reading like the first book in a series and I have to wait for more, but I really enjoyed it, and I do feel like it stuck with me. So I don't think I'm gonna like look back in a month and be like, I don't know what that was even about, you know? So highly recommend. I also really recommend the audiobook if that's what you want to do. I think it was really good. And then the last thing I read this month was House of Sky and Breath, which technically I didn't finish this till yesterday. However, I only had 100 pages left, and I don't care. We're just gonna count it here. All right, we're just gonna count it here. I technically finished in February, but I don't care. I did tab this yesterday. Look how pretty. Like, look at that. Oh, yes, that took me a hot minute. Oh my gosh, cat hair just went flying. I feel like this is kind of a popular opinion that I didn't like this one as much as the first one for some reason. Like, once I got to like the last, this is the sad part too, it was the last 50 pages was the only part that I thought was interesting, because even the last like second to last 50 pages, so the last 100 pages of the book, we spend 50 of them preparing for what we're about to do, but they don't even do any preparation. It was like so confusing to me. I think we were just following all these like different characters, like what they're doing, and it just took a lot of space. But I just felt like the first 400 pages of this were like not pointless, but almost pointless. So it was kind of annoying, and it took me 3 weeks to read this, and I really think that that's what did it as well. I was so busy packing and moving and working that I just didn't have time to read this fast. I feel like if I could have read this in a week, I maybe wouldn't be so harsh about that. So this got knocked down to like a 4.25 for me. I would not give it a 4. It just didn't feel like a 4 to me. I feel like the ending definitely like recovered, and when I went back and tabbed, I was like, there was actually so many good moments. Like, I love the characters so much. It was definitely like it went in a different direction for sure than the first book did, and like there was a lot of way more world building in this one, and just being like, yeah, this is what's going on, and that was really great, and I loved it. But there's things I hated, things I loved, but it was still a really, really good book. So I'm not at all saying that I didn't enjoy this, because I definitely did. It just, wow, took me forever. So am I terrified to get into the third book? Of course I am. So now to get into the February TBR. I have already started House of Flame and Shadows. I almost read a spoiler earlier because my dumb self like didn't realize that it said spoiler, and I almost spoiled myself. That would have been my fault. So yeah, I'm just ignoring anything that I ever see SJM, like anything Crescent City. I just swipe. I don't care what it's about. I'm just swiping. I'm sure we're all doing the same thing. I'm on like page 3 of this. I'm about to sit down and really try to read it, but I'm excited, but I'm scared. I'm really scared. I've seen mixed things. I've seen some people say that this was like the worst one, but then I've seen a lot of people say that it was incredible. So confusion. After that, the next thing I really want to read so that I can finish a series and just say that that series is done is Destroy the Day. I got a signed copy of this. I'm so happy about that. I broke my book van for that. But I loved Defy the Night so much. It got me out of my reading slump after Iron Flame. I will probably say that so many times. I've said it before. Really enjoyed that story. The second book, not so much. There was a little too much miscommunication trope for me, and nothing happened. When I tell you the setting stayed the same through that entire book, it was strange for me. But it was just giving middle child syndrome, and that's okay, because I think that that's what happens in a trilogy, and it's just going to be that way. So I have very, very high expectations for this. I think I'm going to cry just because it's going to be over, but I can't wait. And then next, I actually already started this as well, is Red Rising. I started this on audio. I'm so glad that I did. I was just putting this off so much. I wanted to read this in like the summer, never did. And I just kept saying, oh, like winter's almost over, bitch. So I had to pick it up. So I picked up the audiobook, and I actually really do recommend the audiobook. I like the voice actor or whatever, I like his accent, like it's really cool. Basically, this story follows our main character, and he is living on Mars, and they are called the Reds. There's a lot of this like hierarchy based on color. So Reds are like basically the slaves. And then Golds are like at the top. They are just the richest and the most arrogant people you could ever meet. And him and like his brethren, what have you, they are like pioneering Mars to make it livable for people coming from Earth, I assume, I think. It's definitely a little bit confusing, and I think that's why I like the audiobook, because it is easier for me to think while I'm listening, I guess. That probably makes no sense. But he just, I don't even want to spoil like what's gonna happen, but things happen. He's in for a rude awakening. He realizes that like everything he knew was a lie, and yeah, he's got a journey. He really does. And it's so good. It's like giving dystopian vibes a little bit so far. So yeah, if you want to read like a sci-fi dystopian, just something really different, it definitely feels like more written for a man just because it's from a man's POV and it's written by a man. But I really, really like that because it's so different from what I feel like I've read, and he does like so good with it. Like I still feel super connected to him. It's definitely different. But next we have Ledge. This honestly might be the one that I don't get to, which really makes me angry because I want to get to it so bad, but because it's so wintry, and like this is like the last month of like winter vibes, you know? But this is one of a trilogy, and I just don't know if I'm going to be able to start another trilogy right now, because I feel like there's so many series that I could be finishing that like are already out. Like not that many, but a couple. So I really hope that I get to this. If I have time, best believe I'm at least going to start this one. But I just don't know. And then lastly, I want to read Dune, because we all know the next movie's coming out, and I watched the first movie, and now I want to read it. So I'm kind of glad that I read it, because now I like kind of have more of an inspiration to read it. I just want to read the first one before the movie comes out. So I need to read this by like March 11th-ish. Like I don't have to go see the movie the day it comes out, but I need to read it around that time so I can go and see it. So that's the plan. It's like hefty, but like this version is like, oh, it's like over 800 pages, but that's because this one is like the skinnier, like smaller one. So I think it's only like 600 pages in like a different, you know, font. So excited for that though. But that's my goals, my hopefuls, if you will, for February. Hopefully we're gonna get through all of them. If I could just get through Crescent City, then I have high hopes for the rest of it, because Red Rising is gonna be on audio. Destroy the Day, I feel like I'm gonna fly through that because I'm so excited for it. And then Dune, if I don't start it until the very end of the month, it's all good. So those are my plans for February. And yeah, I'm so excited to start posting my reading vlogs. Definitely have a Crescent City reading vlog coming your way once I finish it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.